So, turns out that Democrats want a huge role for Sanders. It's nice to see polls like that, but they reflect a big disconnect from people, or between people and the political class, right? Which is kind of the point, but it reflects a certain level of cluelessness. It's been clear for a while now that people are just not entirely cognizant of the severity of the divide in policy. And you keep seeing this, when will Sanders endorse Clinton? Did you look at what Sanders' platform said? And did you look at what Clinton's platform said? How does it make sense to you to think that Sanders is going to support her? Are you that cynical? Do policy positions mean so little to you? And if so, then why do you bother with the facade? What are you voting on? What's not so clear to me is if Sanders is seen as less progressive than he is. That is, if people are, underestimating his positions. Kind of like, they're saying, well, he says this, but he won't really do it. Is that what it is? Because if you did have the position that, Sanders is just saying all these things, but he won't really do it, then, going to Clinton might seem less of a jump. Or if Clinton is seen as more progressive than she is, that is like as though she's holding back, but why would she do that when her opponent is, that doesn't make any sense. It would make more sense to suggest that she's less progressive than she's suggesting. Or if it's kind of somewhere in between, it's also a little bit of a reflection of familiarity, right? The United States is a two-party system, so it's the old kodos line, go ahead, waste your vote. The only way that most people can really conceive of a role for Sanders at all is in the Democratic Party, because there are two parties, and that's just how it is. So of course they throw out ideas like a VP run, because what else is he going to do? Run as a third party and waste his vote? Remember, Clinton's view is that they ran the race, and she beat him, and he therefore loses, and his ideas should go away. She doesn't believe in synthesis. She believes in, winner-take-all death matches. She's kind of like a Klingon, you could say, in that sense. It's just all death, 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 right? And I've been clear that I don't think that a meaningful collaboration is possible, and how could it be? I don't understand how it is that people think that it could be. It's like telling Skywalker and Vader to put aside their differences and get along. The fact that people can't see or won't see or can't process the difference is kind of disappointing. It makes you wonder what it was all about. I don't understand how you could vote for Clinton after, it doesn't. Like I say, you have to not really be clear on how big the gulf in policy is. But there's still a long time before the convention to see how things stabilize. I know some of the polling's been. I don't really trust it. It doesn't really add up to me. I read an article that explained that one of the polls that was floating around about suggesting that Sanders supporters don't really support universal health care was they polled Republicans that voted for Sanders. Stuff like that is just I don't. The suggestion that Sanders supporters are really just conservatives that are confused. It sounds a little bit fishy to me, right? There's a YouTube link to the don't blame me, I voted for kodos, But I kind of started thinking, about the Skywalker thing, and it started to make a lot of sense to me. You can imagine Clinton staring down at Bernie. Bernie, I am your master. Join the dark side, Bernie. No! Don't do it, Bernie. Don't join the dark side. the meme here that I found. I figured that it had to have come up somewhere. And there we go. Don't go to the dark side. Hey, take your own advice, sir. Do not join the dark side. But listen, I mean, if you think about it, it's actually a fairly... We got Bernie's been shuffled home. Okay? He did the fall there, and he's been sent home. And now we've got episode 6 coming up here. Which means that this shit ain't over until I see some happy Ewoks dancing in the forest. Which means we have until Burning Man to set this right. No, really. There's an important part in Return of the Jedi where Luke tries to convince Vader to turn away from the dark side. And that's what's going to happen next. Of course, it's going to fail. Clinton's pretty evil. And, they'll have to blow up the party. So the party is the Death Star. Okay? And then Sanders is Skywalker. And Clinton is Vader. Meaning, of course, that Obama is the Emperor. So who's Yoda? Somebody should call Chomsky, make sure he's okay. And while we were talking about this, yet another neocon endorsed Clinton, therefore making it clearer and clearer what the dark side is here.